Yes. So I welcome you all to the another session related to HR that is going to be on employee engagement. Before we move into the discussion, I'm sure we are going to have a really great discussion with Devjan. Devjan come with lot of energy, lot of experience, very, very young HR champion, I will say. So before we get into that, let me introduce myself. I'm Dr. Aparna Sethi. I come with 20 years of experience in HR, worked in manufacturing, worked in corporates, like service industry. After that, I moved to education industry for a very long time. And now I'm into corporate training programs completely. So I'm a founder member of ProTouch. However, I look after all the HR related activities in ProTouch. That is all about me. How about ProTouch? So ProTouch is into corporate and training solutions. We believe that if someone wants to go ahead in the career, what is required is a professional touch. And that is what is ProTouch is all about. Currently, we are giving various certification programs like HR Generalist, HR Analytics. We also have a POSH TTT program, Analytics for Managers, and various corporate training programs we deliver as per the corporate needs, like emotional intelligence, work-life balance, gender sensitization, career management, team management. So these are various programs we offer to corporates. So that is all about ProTech. I'm sure you're waiting for something else, and that is about Devjan. There must be a few people who must have also visited to his profile. Let me tell you, first of all, Devjan and I share a very different kind of a relationship. So yes, he was my student in 2010, right, Devjan?
Absolutely, absolutely.
So that is where our relationship started, and we are still together. I'm so glad to have you on this forum. And as a guest speaker, you took your HR specialization. Today, you are HR manager, and I feel so good to have you back with me. Thank you so much for accepting our invite. And let me tell you something about Devjan. Devjan has got now a decade of experience, and he has handled the entire gamut of HR. When I was going through his profile, I also feel he has consciously worked on his career path, which is very, very important, because sometimes what happens is, you know, we get into the job and we compromise on career. But he has certainly worked on his career. So he has worked on HR processes, operations, talent management, employee engagement. He has also delivered HR talks at TEDx, at Symbiosis. He has worked with Tower Watson for KPMG Global People Survey to formulate engagement index. Another thing, the great thing what I feel, which is very, very relevant in today's program, he has worked with Great Place to Work team for employee engagement survey. Isn't it wonderful? He has also worked on compensation benchmarking exercise. He is extremely active as far as his HR network is concerned. He is also rewarded as a KPMG business partner. So you can see in 10 years of, career span, what all can we achieve, isn't it? And I'm sure it is not automatically and lucky to have this. Lot of efforts and hard work has gone in this, developing this profile. Other than that, Devjan comes with excellent energy, and he's passionate about dance. And in the college once he performed, I still recall, we had a small stage and he performed there. And the best part is this, that he has still not left that hobby. I mean, I can still see his glimpse of dancing on Facebook. Isn't it wonderful to have that? Yes. So that is all about Devjan. So nice to have you, Devjan, here today. Thank you
Thank you,
so
ma'am.
much.
Thanks a lot. I mean, I must convey my gratitude, heartfelt gratitude. I mean, it feels privileged to share the same space, same screen along with you. A mentor, a guide who has always inspired not only me, to the whole bunch of a huge crowd of professionals and students, and not only during our college days but now also, and I sincerely feel and believe that the way, even those could be a very snippet kind of a small videos, or any kind of a small you know your thoughts, whatever you share through social media or anything, it's indeed inspiring for everybody. So thanks
Thank
a
you.
lot for being whatever you are, and thanks a lot for being whatever you have done for all of us.
Thank you. Thank you so much. And today's format of the program will be, after some time, Devjan will take it up. He will be presenting in front of all of you. However, you can feel free to put your questions in the comment box. He may take it if he feels relevant there and there only, or we will have question and answer sessions at the end. So that is how we will go forward about today's event. Okay. So, when I was thinking about employee engagement, now my career started from 1997. So, that is where we started. And there was no concept of employee engagement. We always were worried about, and we used to have a lot of surveys about job satisfaction. So, job satisfaction to employee engagement. How's the journey of HR? Another very important thing is this. Nowadays, we all HR needs to work on wow factor as far as employee experience is concerned. However, I hate to say this because I'm a very, very proud professional, HR professional. Is our role is employee engagement is all about Rangoli, festival, birthdays? What is it all about? Isn't it? Or employee engagement is much beyond that. Another question comes to mind is like, okay, do you think making employee happy is the only objective HR has? But can happy employee give productivity also? And if yes, then how do we measure it? Isn't it? Because if it is not getting measured, our jobs are in trouble. So that is how it is, right? So there are many questions comes to our mind when we talk about employee engagement. So, and very important when our students, of course, there are working professionals with 4 to 5 years of experience. They are with us in ProTouch. Whenever we receive a lot of job opportunities, they also talk about employee engagement. So it has become a part and parcel of every JD of HR executive. So today, let's try to have understanding of employee engagement, right from fundamentals, maybe till metrics. Okay, over to you, Devjan.
Thanks a lot, ma'am. Okay, so as you probably elucidated through the kind of some of the notions which we have in the market or in the industry about employee engagement. So before I get into that, probably let's start with a small engaging activity. So I have planned a small game for each one of you. So let's see who can be the fastest finger first in terms of answering to those questions. So allow me to share my screen, please.
I'm doing it.
Yeah.
Here we go.
I hope my screen is visible to all of you. Perfect. Okay. So before we get into the game, I am assuming all of you are doing fantastic and keeping safe, and along with your loved ones, and with that hope, with that intent in mind, and I wish each one of you to have a wonderful stint ahead, and be very, very safe. And as they say, we shall overcome, and certainly we shall overcome one day out of this, unprecedented days as well. So keeping that thing in mind, so let's start with our game. So we are going to have a game called as Gibberish. So I'm sure all of you must have heard about this game, Gibberish. Okay, so first of all, no cheating, guys, no Googling, no YouTubing and everything. So at the okay, so let me first brief you about what is this game all about. Okay, so to play, read the group of unrelated words and decipher them into real phrases before time runs out. So I'm not going to count the time as such at this point of time, but try to, be as fast as possible. Okay, now for an example, you hear the word sad, heard ye, and that can be, conjugated and can form Saturday, isn't it? So likewise, we are going to see a couple of words and which may form certain phrases or some kind of words, right? So to start with, now you can see first couple of words is like gnome, Morse, goal. So maybe, you can unmute yourself, or you can type it down. What could be the answer? Anybody.
Interesting. So please try. You can put it in the chat box, or you can feel free to and unmute yourself. So what can be this word?
What can be the word? What can be the phrase?
Oh yes, can be country, can be. Oh.
Anybody who wanted to try? Give a try, guys. Very simple one.
Sonjip is saying no more schools.
Absolutely, bingo.
Wow.
Very right.
Amazing.
Nice. Okay, let's do it the next one. Mice, whims, and hoot.
Mice and hoot.
Absolutely. Who was that?
And Namrata Shrestha.
Oh, Namrata. Lovely Namrata. Absolutely, bingo.
Thank you.
Mice and hoot. Okay, the next one. Very simple and very easy.
United Kingdom.
Absolutely. Who was that?
Shiza.
Oh, hi, Fiza. Lovely. Okay, next one. Ho, min, proof, mint. A very simple one.
Home improvement.
Absolutely. Okay, and the last one. Cook, cut, ditch, ease.
Who cut the cheese?
Absolutely. Who was that? Is it Priya?
Shiza.
Okay, lovely. Wonderful. Okay, so what we did with this game, was it like indeed it was icebreaker kind of session, but what we did, we engaged you. And while I engaged you, what I did, I engaged your gray cells, I engaged your span of focus, and I engaged your productivity in terms of thinking through how you can give the answers to the apt, whatever is the requirement, right? So probably while in the market, while in the industry, there has been a time when engagement has been associated with a kind of a preconceived notion, and the notion was, as Dr. Aparna mentioned, that it is something like is engagement is all about holy rangoli or festivals. So gone are those days when we used to consider that bit. We have moved far ahead. Now it's all about how do we engage people. And while I say engage people, it's basically talks about 3 E's. First of all, how do you enable them? How do you empower them? And how do you energize them? Now, these are the 3 E's of employee engagement, which plays the key pivotal role. Now, let me get into the key snippets of our agenda. We are going to talk about who all are engaged and disengaged workforce and what is their definition in terms, little means. Then probably we'll quickly run through about some of the definitions and their Hewitt model. And then we'll talk about some of the strategies and drivers. Then we'll talk about benefits and key players and some of the evaluation matrix. Now, this is more of, I'm sure most of you must have read, must have, gone through it in your theory classes and other things. I'll try to give you more relevance through some of the industry examples. Now, I was privileged, as Dr. Parna mentioned, I was privileged to work on. Okay, I was privileged to.
I will take care. I'll take care of it.
Yeah.
Please keep yourself on mute mode.
Okay, thanks. Okay, so I'll try to give you some context with pertinent to some of the employee engagement activities, surveys, and how do we drive it. So as I was mentioning, I was privileged to work on some of the key metrics of these aspects. To name a few, I could able to work for Persistent Systems Limited. It's one of the IT multinational organization, to work on GPTW's Great Place to Work's trust index, and how do we identify that. I'm definitely going to share my thoughts on those aspects. Then I also have worked with Accepta for Taj groups. How do they configure their overall net employer score and employee satisfaction score. And finally, I'll definitely talk about Aon Hewitt as well as Tower Watson's employee engagement index aesthetics. So that's probably the key pieces which I'll definitely talk about it. So let me first jump into the first slide, which talks about who are engaged, who are not engaged, and who are actively disengaged. Now, as you may see in the slide, it talks about engaged professionals are those who are really high performer, innovative, efficient, committed, and understands role and works with high energy. Absolutely. You can also feel among your vicinity, like I'm sure while you interact with some of the people in your society, correct? You see some of the people who are highly engaged, highly enthusiastic, highly, comes up with the creative idea, right? There are certain set of people who are like not much engaged, right? Maybe they are minimally involved, little passion, lack of creativity, increased absence in the overall, involvement, little motivated, and usually they, tend to be, checked out in that situation. And there could be a, median kind of a situation where some of them are maybe could be actively disengaged. Now, they are absolutely not at all interested, absolutely disruptive, very miserable, bad attitude. Rather, they will come and question you, what is the point of doing all these things? Why are you doing even these things? So you may feel all such kind of, professionals in and around your surrounding, not only in your, organization or, professional environment, even in your social environment as well, right? So how do you create those interventions through which you can turn around a actively disengaged to a not engaged, or maybe a not engaged to an engaged, group? Now, let me first put it across to you guys that what do you mean by engagement, or maybe what is your understanding about engagement? Anybody would like to go? Anybody? You can unmute yourself and share your thoughts.
Means engaged means if he is willing to do something new or creative in any part of the job. Like if any task is given to the whole team and someone comes through, yes, I have got this idea and we can do this way in a faster method. It means that person is engaged in that work and he's more interested in completing that work, and he's letting others to learn that skill to complete that work faster for the company. So he's engaged.
Absolutely, Sagar. Very, very well articulated. Anybody else who would like to add? Anybody? And doesn't matter. It could be right, wrong, whatever you have your thoughts, feel free to share it.
Engagement is actually the people who love his work and always want to connect with his or her work, and very much positive about his work. never feel demotivated. What I
Absolutely.
feel like.
Absolutely, absolutely. I mean, probably both of you are absolutely right, Sagar and I'm sorry, who was that person? Who was that?
My name is Marzia Tahiri. Marzia Tahiri.
Marzia. Okay,
Ji, ji.
wonderful, Marzia. Nice, nice, nice. So let's get into the definition bit and aesthetics of that engagement. So as you correctly mentioned, both of you, like somebody who has a good effect on their personal life of employee. Engagement plays an effect on the company's performance and effects on productivity, effects on customers, co-workers, as well as effect on the overall work of the environment. Right. Now, as you both of you mentioned that engagement is the ability to present, focused, and be energized. Right. Engaged people go above and beyond what is expected of them, and because they feel part of the purpose larger than themselves. And while we say purpose is the foundation of engagement. It's a vital element that makes an engaged organization possible, and that's the first step to creating an engaged culture. So as Sagar, you correctly mentioned, like an engaged professional is somebody who gives his more than 100% because he feels involved in the activity. Right? Engaged professional is somebody who believes that they are part of the overall, structure, the overall, culture, the overall philosophy. They believe to get involved into the overall, they would like to diverge into the overall, aesthetics of the whole process. Right? Similarly, there's a very famous, this theory which talks about the Ion, Hewitt's, theory, which talks about say, stay, and strive, the triple S theory. Right? Now, a engaged professional speaks out their mind, through their behavior, by being vocal. Now, how do they do it? By their engaged employees consistently speaking positivity about the organization to the co-workers, potential employees, and customers. So as you may observe, it's a very, very, important thing. I'm sure most of you must have observed it. When a new joiner joins the organization as a part of the buddy program, whom do we identify to be, the buddy of the new joiners? We always try to tend to look for those kind of candidates who are quite involved and engaged in the organizational processes, aesthetics, and the overall, culture of the organization, right? So that they can speak volume about the organization's requirement, their culture, the positivity about the organization, right? The second one is about stay. Their behavior becomes engaged employees have an intense desire to be a member of the organization. They don't feel disengaged, they don't feel disruptive, and they don't feel like it's enough, let me move out. They believe that, let me be part of the organization, let me get involved into the activity, let me put my hands in the dirt in terms of making the organization better, right? And finally, it talks about striving. The behavior over here is engaged employee exert extra effort and engage in behavior that contribute to the business success. Now, let me put it across through an example over here. Most of the big fours, I am part of the professional services firm, like to talk about, being it's KPMG, Deloitte, PwC, BDO, and EY. They do a very, very niche activity in every quarter as a part of this succession planning program, which is called as AVAX program. AVAX program is nothing but early warning indicator system, where we try to control the attrition. Now, how do we control this attrition? Through the employee engagement. Now, let me put it across through a sequential channel. Now, every quarter, the performance manager need to identify, out of a specific rating of 1 to 10, the engagement level of the employee. Now, what are the different sources of information for that manager? That could be the one-on-one connect, the employee's activeness in the job portal, whether he or she is looking out. Third, the involvement of the employee in the organizational initiative. Fourth, the commitment in terms of the delivery and the kind of quality of the work. And finally, the overall utilization of the professional. Based on these 5 parameters, a manager need to identify the engagement level of an employee. Once they identify it, the business also does a similar kind of activity where they do a critical modeling of how many roles in the organizations are critical for the business, and they need to identify a key successors for that particular position. Now, as soon as what is the HRBP's job? They need to marry these two aspects. One, what is the critical position available and who can be the complete fitment for that critical position, so that if tomorrow any positions becomes empty, I should be able to fulfill those gaps without making the business bleed. So that's the activity which we as an HRBP do it. Now, while we try to identify these professionals who could be a critical successors, which falls into the 2-quadrant vertical, and that vertical is called as Doherty's 9-quadrant matrix model, where a professional is assessed based on 2 aesthetics. One is their performance, and the second one is called their leadership ability. And based on that, their engagement matrix is identified. And basis that, the manager tried to fit them into the overall hierarchy of critical requirements. Now, this model, this part is the first part. Now there comes the second part. In the second part, what do? They try to identify that if I have, suppose I'm just giving a hypothetical example. I have in my organization, for an example, a assistant manager position is available with me. Now, who has put down his paper? Now, I wanted to identify that this is my critical position. I should not, I need to make sure that I have a, enough talent landscape in my along with me. So I believe Sagar Chetiwal is one of the suitable candidate for me, and let me, place him as that candidate. At the same time, I also believe Trishant is also a suitable candidate, but probably somehow Trishant lacks certain amount of ability as compared to Sagar. Now, what do I need to do? I need to make sure that my talent landscape is equally capable for that. Now, I need to engage them through a training need analysis. Now, how do I do it? I try to assess my engagement score of Trishant and Sagar, and then basis that I will try to understand where my candidate, that could be Trishant, is lacking behind, and that could be a feeder for my training and development team to do a training need analysis and create those upskilling models for them to undergo different learning interventions. And that's how we engage our professionals in the succession model. So this is one of the examples of employee engagement through their upskilling, reskilling activity for the purpose of succession planning. So what we understood, gone are those days when every quarter, every month, we used to do only Holi Rangoli activity. Right now, what we have done, we have additionally done a succession planning through the help of employee engagement, right? Coming to the next bit. Now, as you may see that in this particular slide, this talks about how we can have different initiatives and strategies through which we could able to, make sure that my professionals are well engaged. First of all, encourage knowledge sharing. Very, very important. The moment you are saying that you need to have an engagement workforce, you need to make sure that there is an outflow and inflow of the knowledge among themselves, so that they can feel more cohesive, they can build the kind of a camaraderie among themselves, and they could able to perform a more trusted, diligent work. Second, building open and transparent communication. To have a more open culture, to have a more speak up kind of a culture. Involve employees in the business planning processes. That means empowering them that their voice is being heard. Build internal information bulletin, helping in creating individual growth path, that is about career trajectory, creating a culture of social responsibility, and then initiate wellness program, regular employee surveys and feedbacks, encourage employee learning and initiatives, select the right managers and coach them for the employees engagement, competitive and well-defined compensation structure, rewards and recognition, be fair and realistic, provide regular breaks to rest, and work-life balance. Now, let me put it across through an example. Now, as I was telling you, there are, or every organization more or less does their, employee engagement survey, or you call it as satisfaction survey, and whatever you call it as. So let me put it across through an example. These are the similar kind of activities which we also have been performing as a part of our, business partnering activity in Persistent. Now, Persistent does something called as trust index every year with GPTW, Great Place to Work, drives it. And there they drive it basis 5 key factors. Now, I am just reading it out, these 5 key factors. That is about credibility, respect, fairness, pride, and teamwork. And basis that, they identify 3 key matrices. What are these matrices? Employee perception about the organization, cultural audit and quest management practices, and policy awareness. Based on these couple of aesthetics, they identify the overall trust index of the organization. And that's how we try to identify that whatever initiatives we are driving it, are these really fulfilling my requirement or not? Are these really leveraging the kind of effort I am putting in? So as I can give you through some examples. Now, this is an example which I'm sharing. This is close to maybe this is in 2013 or 14. Yes. Persistent actually acquired one of the HP's product, which is called as Radia Radia client. And after acquiring, the professionals who moved from HP to Persistent as a part of the merger and acquisition, we did a quick employee satisfaction survey, and we found that hardly 32% of the professionals were engaged. They were really not very keen to be part of the overall this merger and acquisition. So that was definitely alarming for us, that something is not working well for the organization. Now we really need to identify what all things we can drive for better cohesion among these two set of people. So definitely change management was one of the key requirement to enhance the employee engagement and their satisfaction in the organization. Now, as a part of the overall change management program, the first activity what we did was identified some of the employee champions who can speak volume and who can communicate and cascade the philosophy of the leadership of Persistent. So the first important thing, whatever strategies I have mentioned in front of your screen right now, these are definitely going to be these are required to be your hand-in-hand activity. Plus, addition to that, you need to also bring in some kind of a change management activity through a employee champs who can be your speakers in the large crowd. So that was one thing. Second, as a part of, so if you observe why most of the professionals leave the organization, compensation is one part of the thing. Second is it's about learning. If you happen to give them a good amount of career architecture, they definitely feels more intact and they definitely feels more challenged, as well as their retention in the organization enhances. Now we really need to work. We were worrying about that, probably in the coming few months, we may face a huge amount of attrition because the professionals' engagement score was very low. Then what we did, we immediately thought of creating an overall robust career architecture. And I got a chance to work with Aon Hewitt at that point of time, wherein we tried creating different strides and competencies and competency verticals in which a professional not only will be given a horizontal and a vertical movement based on their caliber. Second, we also allowed them to have a cross-functional movement in a diagonal manner. Important. Along with this activity, we also created a very strong bands in the organization. Trust me, guys, while I did a compensation benchmarking exercise for some of the organization, and what I observed was there are still a lot of organization in the market who doesn't follow a very strong, robust compensation benchmarking exercise, and which leads to a huge amount of employee dissatisfaction or disengagement. So it was very, very imperative for us to draw a proper compensation benchmarking exercise along with a proper grades which can fulfill their requirement for any kind of career modeling and career architecture. That was my second activity. Third activity, we created a skill inventory. Now, what is a skill inventory? I, as an HR professionals, I may feel that, I'm more proficient. I may be qualified as probably as a HR business partner, but I can be equally good in payroll management. I can be equally good into, statutory compliance, right? And my inclination lies over there. So as an organization, we planned to identify an inventory mechanism in which we can consolidate the interest level of the employee and we can allow them to move further in that respective, stride or that particular vertical. Let me give an example. I'm sure most of you must have heard about this thing. Google dedicatedly requests and encourages their employees to invest a certain amount of, that is 20% of their total work hours in any kind of a creative activity of their own choice. That enhances their morale, their engagement in the work, what they are doing it. And as a result of that, the organization becomes more productive, the attrition becomes low, and the organization's empowerment in terms of building professionals' strong base enhances. So these are the key strategies which we follow. Along with that, there are different facets which we need to drive in terms of enhancing the engagement. Moving on, drivers of employee engagement. As you know, work and job roles, work environment and organizational culture, rewards and recognition, learning and training opportunities, performance management, leadership, and other various kind of factors. Now, most of you, I'm sure, must have aware that, as I was telling you, if you're disengaged with your respective work, you tend to feel that, there is no further scope for me to grow. Let me move out. I don't want to do the regular mundane job. Let me move out, or let me think about some other opportunity. So you need to, as I said, you need to think about skill inventory. You need to drive a proper career architecture for them. Second, as I said, employee engagement, it's all about 3 E's. The first one was about enablement. You need to have that robust resource management in place, which can fulfill and makes the employees' overall well-being and work environment more smooth. So you need to have okay.
Taking care. But this is something, Okay. Yeah, go ahead.
Thanks. Okay. So as you saw, guys, I was delivering my thing, and Dr. Aparna made sure that all the resources in place are properly intact, so that my productivity, my deliverable doesn't get affected. So what she did, she made sure the work environment doesn't get affected with the kind of a small, hassles. So my engagement in this overall activity remains as is. So that's what something is all about engagement. You need to make sure your professionals, your team members, your organization is enabled with different kind of means and mechanisms in which the professionals feel they are resourceful. Next, rewards and recognition. Very, very, unique thing. I'll tell you, we tend to have a fight at the time of moderation activity every quarter whenever we identify the best rewardees and everything, because everybody wanted to push their people, that these are my best people and we must, make them give them a reward. And that is equally applicable in terms of performance management as well. Now, it is very important that to engage people, you need to educate them about the overall modalities of why one is getting rewarded or why one is getting appraised, and why one need to undergo certain kind of reskilling or some kind of mentoring to be able to get rewarded next time. So this relative ranking or relative things is very important. Now let me put it across through an example. It is a very, very common thing. I'm sure most of you must have heard. As as soon as the year end happens, the appraisal happens, I happen to get maybe some 60 to 70% people comes to me saying that, hey Devjan, I'm not happy with my rating, I'm not happy with my performance bonus, and blah 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 blah. Now the agony is, what, while I spoke to those professionals and they said that their manager said that, boss, I have given you 2 rating, but somehow God knows what happened at the time of the appraisals. During the time of moderation, your rating got changed from 2 to maybe 4, right? So as a result of that, the rating also gone down, as well as the professionals, obviously, performance bonus also gone into toss, right? That is where you need to actually hit the nail. You need to make sure from the beginning, you need to orient people. You need to make your organizational each level well aware. It's all about relative ranking. You just can't go and put the blame on the heads of the HR, saying that it was HR who did all this bell curving and they actually changed the rating. So you are actually doing what? You are actually demotivating or disengaging your own team members, right? So you need to educate your team. You need to educate your colleagues, your team, professionals, so that they do understand very well how this overall mechanisms of rewards and the execution of PMS system works, right? Next point, I already spoke about learning and training opportunities. Very, very important that you need to have different interventions, especially in today's time, in this virtual world, where we all have a certain amount of uncertainty. What is going to happen after, few months, assuming everything is fine, how do we curb and how do we bounce back into that actual mainstream delivery? So very important, you need to continuously reskill yourself, create your own brand, and you need to make sure your own skill set speaks volume about your own personality. So you need to make sure you continually upgrade your learning ability, your learning quotient. And for that, once you do so, your overall engagement level will enhance. And as a professional, as a HR, as a management professionals, as an enabling function, also you need to make sure that you create those intervention in the organization wherein your learning curve could be enhanced. Leadership plays a very key pivotal role, because as they say, top-down approach or bottom-up approach, right? You need to make sure your leaders could able to cascade your philosophy, your vision, your mission, your ideas, so that your junior level, your mid-level could able to echo those sentiments and echo those thought process. And that's how you should be able to engage your team, right? Moving on. Benefits of engaged workforce, as I have spoken, go extra mile to achieve individuals and company success, innovate at workplace, attract consumers and employees, become evangelist of the company, its products and processes, infuse energy and positivity at workplace. Very, very important, as I said in the beginning of the slide, as well as Sagar was also talking, that engaged professionals definitely put in their extra effort in terms of making sure they could able to sell what is organization is wanted to do it. They could able to sell it to their internal and external clients. They could able to speaks volume about the organization's mission, vision, and their aesthetics. They could able to infuse the energy within their team members, and that's how they will be able to sail through this days also. Next one, key players in enhancing the employee engagement. As I told you in the last slide, senior management, a leadership plays a very, very crucial role in any engagement activity. You need to have a buy-in of your thoughts, whatever you are trying to cascade it. If you don't do it, it becomes tough. Second, human resource department. You need to make sure your HR department speaks the same language. It should not happen. And trust me, I observed it many times. My own team members are disengaged and they are going and saying outside, ye to nahi hone wala. Organization is something like that. Nothing is going to happen. Let's start looking out. The moment HR department is themselves is disengaged, then sorry boss, you have lost the battle half, right? Next one is immediate supervisors and managers. they play a very, very key important role, because at the end of the day, they are the custodian of the resources, right? That's why we say the immediate supervisors and manager need to speak what language you are trying the organization to understand, correct? And along with that, we also do identify, as I said, some change agent who can be your evangelist in terms of speaking your language. Next point, characteristics of engagement workforce. As I said, mutual trust, job and career satisfaction, credible leadership, focused and keen to take up challenges, better performance, and problem solving, which really we have covered in the couple of last slides. Finally, process of employee engagement activity. Prepare and design employee engagement survey, result analysis, action planning, and action follow. Now, let me put it across to an example of how we do it at, so how I did it at employee engagement surveys at KPMG. As I told you, Tower Watson is one of the empanel vendor through which we do it. We drew, so there are close to 65 questions based on total 15 themes on which we try to identify once a year that how the professionals are engaged in the overall activity. We try to ask them based on 5 aspects: agree, disagree, neutral, completely disagree, and partially disagree. Based on that, we try to understand their overall employee engagement index, and we break these 15 themes into subsequently into 3 key aspects of employee engagement, that is enable, energize, and empower. And that's how we try to identify their overall engagement score. Based on that, how do we do it? We do a sentiment analysis or a comment analysis in another way around. We try to identify, we try to create different kind of bubble charts that what are the key pain points of the employees and what all things we need to do it. Some of the things are pretty much doable, some things which are short-term goals, some of the things are long-term goals. For an example, professionals coming to me and saying that, I'm not at all happy with the compensation. I can't go and change the compensation overnight. It has to be a year-end activity. At the same time, if somebody says that, I'm not happy with the fairness of the rewards and recognition, probably what I can do is I can identify certain professionals from the larger chunk, and I can ask them to witness the overall moderation activity of the rewards and recognition so that they can be the custodian, or maybe they could speak what I was trying to explain my people. Third, I could able to create some kind of a more robust and enabled activity through which I could able to bring a work-life balance among them. And trust me guys, I strongly believe that you may do your Holi, Diwali, Rangoli kind of an activity, but that definitely plays a very key pivotal role. But having said that, those are not only limiting your scope. Today, even if for the fun-filled activity, team building activity, there are huge variety of activities which is lying in your scope. You need to explore those opportunities, and you need to think out of the box that how you can enhance the team camaraderie, how you can enhance the overall well-being of the employee, and especially in these days wherein people feel at work from home scenarios feel difficult and feel challenged. So for an example, we started empanelment at KPMG with some of the external vendors who can able to do counseling sessions for them. So people could able to directly reach out to those professionals and could able to share their thought process. A lot of organizations have come up with the COVID leaves. These are small snippets through which you are trying to motivate your people, you are engaging them. So you need to think about different interventions through which you do it. Now, once you are done with this initiatives, you need to do a start, stop, continue model. Now, in the start, stop, continue model, you need to identify what is working well for the organization, what needs to be stopped, and what needs to be continued. Once you have this start, stop, continue, and which needs to be done through your focus group discussions, your different kind of brown bags discussions, your one-on-one connects, your skip level discussions, you need to come up with a strategy. Or obviously this strategy has to be vetted by leadership. You need to do something called as design thinking approach. Now I'll tell you guys, design thinking approach is something which was maybe a year old concept. Now there is something called as design compass approach. Now what is this design compass approach? Now I'm just deviating a little bit from the engagement bit over here. Now the difference between design compass and design thinking approach is that in design thinking, which came before design compass, talks about you articulate your process, you create your customized process as per the requirement of the end stakeholders, and you take it to them, seek their inputs, seek their feedback, and then you customize it, and then you implement it. Now in this activity, it was a very good activity because you are taking a consensus from a sample of the overall population and then trying to implement it. That's a very good activity, but the challenge in this activity remains was that maybe the sample of the people whom you have identified has given you a kind of a maybe a sample was not apt, which could give you the correct answer, right? So your overall whatever strategy you have formulated may not work well. Now let me put it across through an example. 2-3 years back, so again, without any offense to any political belief or anything, few years back probably, while this UP elections was going on, Uttar Pradesh elections were going on, Vidhan Sabha elections, and at that point of time the different sources were there, and they were trying to identify whether BJP or the Samajwadi Party or the other parties, who is going to win, right? And they actually did a design thinking approach. What they did, they took a sample of people and they took their overall consensus, and after that they tried to understand who is going to win. Now if you identify that particular example, in that particular piece, BJP was nowhere about to win. It was some other party who was supposed to win, right? And when the results came out, what we observed, BJP came up with a huge amount of vote share, and as a result of that, they formed the government. So this was a design thinking approach where the sample which I have collected was not actually echoing the numbers or the sentiments of the larger population. Now, the second thing comes the design compass approach. Now, what does this design compass approach? The design compass approach, which is probably you must have seen in the recent past in the Bengal election, right? Where a lot of professionals were saying that this time probably BJP is going to, completely, take the whole show, and they are going to win. Some of the political parties were saying, but at the end of the day, some of the researchers and some of the strategic team, they said no, it is TMC who is going to win. Now what is the difference they did it from a design thinking and approach? This time what they did, you need to first talk to the sample people, what is their requirement, and while you are going to talk to them, your key problem statement remains as is. That means from a engagement survey, you identified professionals are having problem with their compensation. Now you identify out of 1,000 professionals pool, maybe a pool of 100 people, that this was the problem statement about the compensation thing. We are recommending such kind of a strategy for your compensation bit. Now that could be something like enhancing your junior level compensation grid, or maybe increasing your variable pay, or that could be increasing your overall incentives, or maybe some other modalities, right? Once you are done, then comes you need to implement this strategy, what came up from a sample of people of 100 people to a more larger people as a initiative, not to the whole 1,000 people. So this time, like for an example, if to give you through an example, Prashant Kishore took some sample of some 100 people out of 1,000 people in Bengal, and he understood that probably TMC is going to win. And then after that, they again implemented that same strategy of this survey, among a larger pool of 500 people, not to the whole crowd. And there they identified that still TMC is going to win. Right. That means my first sample of 100 people is echoing the same kind of sentiment what my 500 people are telling. And then you go ahead and implement it to the larger population of 1,000 people. And this is what in most of the organization nowadays they are doing, design compass approach. That means you need to customize your approach, your strategy based on the problem statement. Go to the, after you have a consensus from the leadership, go to the end stakeholder sample, take their inputs, then implement it in a small set of people, maybe 30% or 40% of the people, seek their inputs, whether they are really liking your initiative or not in terms of engaging people, and then you implement it to the larger population. And then the final steps comes in. You need to do a periodic checks through your focus group discussion, through your regular connects, the implementation, what you have done maybe few months back as a part of your strategy of the employee engagement, is it really working well or not? And that's how you could able to elevate your overall percentage of employee satisfaction, or you call it as employee engagement index or people trust index. So that's all about employee engagement, which I thought of sharing with you. Considering the time, probably I'll keep it some time for our question answers as well. And before I pass it on to Dr. Aparna, I have another game for all of you guys. Maybe let's see who can able to answer those questions. We are again to dive into the same gibberish activity. So nudge your gracers, guys. Game time on. So again, guys, let's see who can able to answer. You can see N is racket.
Tennis racket.
Tennis racket.
Absolutely, absolutely. Who was that? Was it Nana?
Yes.
Okay, lovely, Nana. Good.
Thank
Next
you.
one. True Woo baseball.
It's baseball.
Yes, partially correct.
I think Naina
Tough
plays
baseball.
this a lot.
No,
Throw
actually, I'm
baseball.
playing this for the
Throw
first time.
throw baseball.
baseball.
Absolutely. Throw a
Throw
baseball.
baseball.
Throw baseball.
Okay, next one. Hap pulled use.
He pulled us.
No.
Have full use.
No.
Half full.
Partially correct. You are partially correct.
Half full use. Hello.
Yes. Yeah, go ahead.
Go ahead.
They have pulled.
Half filled.
Absolute.
No. Okay, no worries. So it's a tough one. Okay. Apple juice.
Apple
I
juice.
thought so. It is something related to Apple. Apple, I could get it.
Yes, absolutely. And the second last.
Refrigerator.
Absolutely, absolutely. And the last one, guys. And cake stand. Sorry?
Pancake syrup.
Absolutely. Pancakes and syrup. Lovely, lovely. Who was that?
Syrup.
Hina.
Okay, lovely, lovely. So with this, I come to the end of my session. Now I'll open it up for Q&A, and over to you, ma'am.
Great. Can we give him a big round of applause? I mean, this is something really great session they've done. Amazing. I will say this. It was an experience sitting in your class and taking down the notes. Like a hungry person, I was just making my notes, and I'm so thankful to you that you have given us the audit points for ProTouch now to work on it. So especially the strategies slide which you showed it to us, I can see I can give a rating for 1 on 10, and I'm also glad that my HR executive is also online. So yes, we need to take it up for ProTouch as well, because there are few myths I come across when we talk about employee engagement. One is that first, it is only about HR. I think it's all managers need to look after employee engagement, and it is only for big companies. So not necessary. In our own capacity, we can develop our own metrics and measure the impact and do it quite well. Amazing. So my gray sales and I'm feeling so refreshed, feeling really nice. So you can stop sharing your presentation, Devjit, and let's take few questions. Okay, in the meanwhile, we have shared the ProTouch brochure. We have given the ProTouch website, even also my email in my LinkedIn profile. That if you are comfortable, you can also share your LinkedIn profile if you are all comfortable. Okay.
Yes, why not?
So
Absolutely.
that is how it is. So you can share it
Absolutely.
so that people can connect with you later on.
Absolutely.
Okay. So there was one question which was really good, which came up. Okay. So Saurabh asked this question: how do we reward people who are not directly related to revenue?
Okay,
I think that is a support function. Like, for example, people like HR always say, oh, madam, there are so many clappings for sales. But what is it that going to happen to us? Yeah.
Absolutely. Very pertinent question. Okay, so probably, you know, one very key important thing which we all need to understand that probably, yes, there is a kind of a certain cliche and the kind of a, a preconceived notion which has been there and has still is there in some pockets, that, you know, probably HR is a cost incurring department. But one need to make the organization and the leadership understand. You need to cascade it through your things, that first you need to quantify your things. Now, while you quantify your things, now let me put it across through an example. What do? You are rolling out offer letters, right? Now you may be doing 10 offer letters in a day. Now each offer letters undergo 10 different processes. For an example, sourcing, screening, interviewing, and then finally comes your offer letter generation. Now that offer letter generation also takes place how you are doing a pitching, how you're doing an offer recommendation, how you're doing a comparator analysis with respect to your current out skills, current set of people, as well as the market benchmark. Now in this whole process, you are doing minimum, you're doing 10 to 12 activities, and then you are performing one activity. But for the end stakeholders, it appears what? It appears that you are only doing 10 offer letters, right? Then they intend to believe what? HR is doing nothing. They are simply doing rolling out 10 offer letters. There is nothing. So you need to first of all make sure your data should speaks volume. You need to create your defined processes which can show numbers. And while I say numbers, you need to quantify your things. As I said, if I roll out 10 offer letters, I am doing 10 activity behind it. So 10 into 10, you are performing 100 activities. So from a aesthetic standpoint, it is not only 10 things. One. Second, it is very true. Your at the end of the day, an HR is a frontline person who need to front end the thing, right? So your branding matters a lot. You need to make sure whatever you are performing, you should be able to create a MIS out of it. You should be able to show it to the larger audience that whatever you have done, it actually creates a benefit for them. Now for an example, let me put it across through an example of engagement. Now while I do engagement, and that could be, for an example, simple engagement in a simple form, like maybe a team building activity. Now I need to identify what is the kind of budget I have got it. One, what is the number of people I'm targeting, what is the number of people who got involved, and what is the number of accolades, and what is the number of testimonials I have received it as a part of my overall activity, and most importantly, how much it is going to enhance the overall morale of my people. Now you may not be able to immediately identify the morale index or the engagement index at that point of time, but it's a slow and steady process in the long run, which you need to connect the dots, saying that, see, because of the small steps of your engagement or team building activity, your team becomes more productive and more cohesive and more enhanced. That's the second activity. Third point, as I said, so the first one is quantification. Second, I said branding or the MIS. Third is about showing your testimonials and the kind of a long-term approach. Now, the most importantly, the last bit over here is that you need to see in this whole process, in this whole process of any activity, there's a tend to be a certain amount of belief that, because HR or any kind of enabling function is a function which creates the overall environment more productive. You cannot be able to dive into the overall delivery work. If tomorrow I say ki how many people, how many product you have sold, you can't do it, right? That's not your job. But at the end of the day, you are there to make sure your system, your resources are well equipped, they are well trained, they are well informed about each and every processes. If you fail to educate them about the processes, if you fail to create those interventions, you tend to create a hiccups for the organization's growth. Very, very pertinent example in nowadays is that in this COVID, HR is playing a very, very key pivotal role in terms of keeping a regular touch with the employees, supporting them through a medical insurance, enabling them with a COVID leave. If the professional is facing some kind of a challenge, being there emotionally, physically, as well as through any other means beside them to make sure we are there to support you, we are there to hear your pain. I may not be physically available with you in the hospital or in the premises to look after your parents or to your family members or to you, but I am there to support you by all means and mechanisms. So a small example I said. So these are small interventions which creates a larger impact. Overnight you can't do it. Probably a sales guy can overnight do it, like he sells suddenly, like you must have observed that all these insurance people in the month of February and March, they start running around here and that, they have to sell their insurance things. You can't do it, but your process has to be a consistent, steady and a regular process. You just overnight, you just get up and say that I have to do this activity and I can do it and make the changes overnight. You can't do it. Once you follow these steps, trust me, you will bound to get the recognition for yourself, for your team, for your department. Yeah,
that's a quite great answer. I mean, each and every job needs to be measured. There should be measurement
can
criteria.
I ask a question?
Yeah, just a minute. So measurement criteria should be maintained, and if the measurement is there, reward can be given, right? So that is the best line. Everything needs to get measured.
absolutely.
Your TAT, your the retention rate, attrition rate during your early days, productivity of in early days. So these all things will get measured, and we need to have the metric.
Absolutely.
Great. There was someone who wanted to ask the question. Yes.
Yeah, hi, Purva this side. I don't belong to corporate world. I belong to academics, but I'm the head of the department, so I have a huge team to handle. So my issue here is that there are some of my team members who are actively engaged, some are not. So those who are actively engaged, they get more work to do because they're doing well. So they get more work. And the ones who are not so engaged, they get away very easily. And looking at the scenario, because in academics, we want senior people also to be there. It's a mixed scenario. So there is no fear of retrenchments or, it's a very safe, secure kind of field. So the problem happens with the actively engaged ones. They get more work as a reward. So what do we do in that case?
Kaam ka badla kaam.
Yeah.
Or kaam. Yeah,
more work,
that's right. That's right. Good question.
Nice question.
Yes.
Thanks, Viti. So I think this is a pretty common questions. I think not only you guys are facing, I think I'm sure, Dr. Aparna is also equally facing the same challenge, and I am also facing, and I'm sure all of tend to face such kind of problem somewhere or the other. It is a bound to happen situation. See, the one thing is there, you cannot, satisfy everybody. Simple as that one. But having said that, as a manager, as a leader, you need to envision that how do you create different interventions based on the competencies and skills of the people. Now, for an example, I just few minutes back, I mentioned about one of the, intervention probably. Now, for an example, example, if you see somebody who doesn't have an interest in probably in teaching line or a particular subject or something, maybe you may wanted to leverage the professional's expertise in some other activity. Let's see in what particular area the professional has expertise. Maybe the person is very good in terms of people management, or somebody who's very good in terms of counseling, or somebody who's very good in terms of Excel work, or data management, or maybe administrative activity, right? So see, one thing is counseling does help, job identification and trying to create that kind of a synergy in the overall job and the fulfillment of the needs does play an important role. Training need analysis does play an important role. But at the end probably, when you observe that there is nothing which is working out, probably at that point of time you need to identify different career scopes for the professionals within the premises, within the purview that the professional could able to explore. And I think that is what something which most of the organization does it by. We call it as through internal job posting, wherein we try to enable our professionals that okay, fine, you may be a Java professionals and you don't have an interest to work on Java. Okay, let's create a skill inventory and identify in what activity you are good at. Maybe you are good at SQL, so I'm giving you a opportunity to work on SQL project. Or maybe I observe that the professional is not that great, just for an example, like in a certain subject skill sets. Maybe that is his educational background, but he's not that great. Maybe you wanted to leverage his or her competency in some other activity. But if nothing works out well, probably at the end, see, I strongly believe in see, you can counsel, you can mentor, you can coach one, but it is at the end of the day, the professionals desire where they wanted to do and where they wanted to go and proceed. It's their career at the end of the day. We cannot do injustice to somebody's career just by creating different interventions. Let's allow them with different opportunities. If they still believe that things are not working out well within their scope of agreement, their scope of understanding and scope of delivery, it's always better to give them an opportunity with a even in the outside world also, where they could able to grow well and they could able to have a better fitment. So it's all about fitment also. So we must enable and ensure that our professionals so for an example, let me put it across through an example. There was few years back, there was a very rotten concept, I could call it as. There was a very rotten concept of force fitment in the rating scale. Like for an example, 1 to 5 rating you have, or 5 being the lowest. And then the business leaders were asked that you need to force fit some people, or maybe certain 5% or 10% in the 5 rating, even if the professional could be fair or good enough, right? And they have no other choice because it's a relative ranking and you have to do it. Now at that point of time, gone are those days now. Actually, most of the organization now moving out from this force fitment, and they're deciding that it's about career for the professional. It's about the kind of opportunities you're giving to the professional. If the professional, even somebody who is a one rater but doesn't feel that they have a engaged adoration in the organization, in the kind of work they are doing, it's always let them move away with a better job fitment. And that's how, if they feel happy, I'm sure the team will also feel happy, and they will also get a better resource who could able to fulfill their organizational requirement. Yeah,
I would like to add on to what you said. You said it very nicely. So we come back to the skill will matrix. If there is a less skill, but there is a will, we can help out the person. If there is a skill, there is a will, he must be or she must be doing quite well. For example, but if there is a skill, there is no will, it's a major problem. It's a problem case. And if there is no skill and no will, then there is a fitment problem. It will also ask, there will be a question mark even on your selection system. How come that after joining 3 months, you realize that the person doesn't have that, particular competence? So skill will matrix is very important when the mapping is done. Another thing is this, as Debjan mentioned, that we can look for IJPs, we can look for the change. However, if there is a will problem, if there is an attitude problem, then companies will not be able to help anyone for that. Second very important thing is this, that how big is your organization is. If it is a bigger organization, I can give you separate roles. I can see how I can, fit you. Third thing is this, how long are you working with the company? Like, for example, you're working with the company in 2 months, you are asking for the job rotation, IJP will not be possible. So growth also needs to show your, consistent efforts. So all these things will be considered. However, everyone thinks that if I'm not performing, give me some other role. It is not possible. It is impossible. And then we have to take some hard calls. Because in HR, it is not only about making a decision about that person, but it is also what is the message we are giving to the other employees. So for example, if the particular person is working, not performing, you're changing the role, there will be 100 who will come and say that, I'm not performing. So the way you change her role, why don't you change my role also? They do not see the context. They do not see the other things which are also coming into the picture. So most of the time as a HR, we also need to think, what is the message we are giving? So sometimes some harsh decisions gives a good messages, but many times HR also think twice before taking this decision. Yeah.
Absolutely.
So, good question. Good question. So we will take one last question because now it is almost.
May I ask a question, ma'am?
Marzia has raised her hand. So, raise your hand so that I can take you in the queue. Okay. Great. So,
Ma'am, may I
Marzia,
Mute.
over to you.
Thank you very much for giving me the floor. My question is actually a little bit different. In this pandemic situation, some organizations are doing cost cutting. So others employers are scared. So there is no employee engagement. So what should be the conclusion and what is your opinion about that? Because engagement is already growing. We see that our colleagues are cost cutted by the company. So what is your opinion and what should be the conclusion?
Very, very apt question, and I think that's a question in the demand of the hour. Also, the challenge definitely it remains, like in this unprecedented times. Definitely, some of the business are doing fairly good. Some are really undergoing challenging times, and obviously, a lot of business may not incur much cost in terms of doing engagement activity or any kind of activity, as a matter of fact. Now, while that remains one of the things, but having said that, we really need to make sure that while I say engagement is just not about creating some kind of additional intervention by incurring cost. You can think about various means and mechanisms through which you can actually you can create the wow factor, as Dr. Aparna said. You can really create those wow factor. Now, engagement that could include, okay, so even if I have to talk about, for an example, a team building activity, you may want to plan something like, I remember, when I last year in the month of March or something, every month we used to do something or the other virtual activity, something like, for an example, something, a day called as yoga day, or something called as choose to snooze day. Choose to snooze day means that particular day we need to see that how much water you are drinking. Or maybe these are different kind of activities which we used to do it, which can may not incur much of your cost, but you can actually engage your people on their well-being. At the same time, you can show it to the leadership that you're, without even incurring cost, you can work on the employees' well-being. One, you can engage them. Second, and third, you can also create a beautiful environment for them, so that they can feel more engaged and more wowed by the overall intervention. So I think, yeah, that's pretty doable thing. Yeah,
Absolutely. Wonderful. Wonderful. Marzia, I would like to share our experience here. Every time we talk about cost, It is not about the cost. It is about the attitude. We don't have to go to, great workplaces to work or something like that. Just have your Google feedback form. If you're not able to do, ask someone, if you want to have some, for example, engagement activities around hobby clubs. Marzia is HR. That means does not mean she has to do it. For example, Nehal loves to have some book clubs. Nehal can do it. Make her in charge from some other team. If you, my experience is if you involve other team members other than HR, they drive it much more because they understand the efforts going behind it. For example, my company is very small. We have around 30 people. We want to have birthday celebration. Only one person cannot do it. Who are the enthusiastic people in your team? Can you select one or two and ask them to do it? They feel engaged, they feel driven, and others, everyone becomes happy. Fun Friday. Why only HR has to do? Why can't you give it to someone else? Every team members needs to do it. Just see. So, somewhere people say the management is not about doing the work. Management about getting things done from others. Involve people and they feel important. Youngsters joining your organization, they feel empowered. I'm heading this. I'm managing this. Isn't it? So cost should not stop you. It's the intent. Do you want to do it? There are so many people who wants to come to your organization and deliver a talk on pro bono basis. Just put it on LinkedIn. That's all. Share PDF books, show them videos. I mean, there are so many things. Make your team leaders accountable for one-on-one. Keep it in process that every month, 1 hour you have to spend on them. Train them how to do one-on-one. Go beyond performance and talk about their families and all. Isn't it? So empower them. Team leaders will get training and they will feel empowered and want to stay with you. Why? Because there is a learning happening. Most of the time, Marziana, we take it for granted that everyone knows about it. What else? What is it that we want to train? No, there are very, very small, points which we need to connect. And if we connect those dots, it becomes very easy. If your intent is there, engagement will fall in place.
Absolutely. As a matter of fact, I'll share one example. This reminds me. So in KPMG last year, 2020, yes. So every year till 2019, we used to have, gala event at the time of Diwali in the month of October, November, like, gifting people and, spending a lot and this and that. We used to do it. Last year, obviously, a lot of cost cutting was also happening and everything. But yes, so we decided, like, as ma'am said, like, it's all about intent, how you wanted to come up with your, out of the box thinking and a creative. So we decided to merge October, November, that Children's Day and, Family Day at the time of Diwali together. And we decided that let's do a Children's Day activity where we will involve the families virtually. And at the same time, we will do something called as reverse mentoring. Now, what is this reverse mentoring was? So we asked each and every professionals to ask their kids to come up with something very creative thing, right? Very creative thing, and project it through a video or maybe live on the virtual platform. Everybody did it, right? Obviously, we identified some winners. Now, first, I was not required to bring in any external, any kind of anchor or any host to drive this activity, because it was by the people for the people. So they themselves were doing it. Second, they felt very happy because they themselves could able to start interacting with their colleagues virtually along with the family. So they felt that now my family is also getting involved. So what I'm doing, I'm engaging not only employees, but their families as well. Third, what I also did, as a part of the reward, I was not giving them any kind of reward money or any kind of reward vouchers or anything. Rather, I said the professionals, kids who are going to be the winner, I mean, most of them are the winners. What we did was we planned to start a reverse mentoring. That means every director or associate director will be tagged to a kid for a month, wherein every month, every Friday for 1 hour, the kid could able to teach to the respective leader about different ideas and strategies. Now I'll tell you, I was tagged to one of the class 2's, one of the kid, that small kid taught me about Snapchat. And trust me, I was never aware about this Snapchat funda. I have always heard about this thing. And she taught me ki, "Arey bhaiya, you don't know Snapchat. This is a very easy thing. And this is tuck, 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 you can do it." And I felt so, how do I say, so elated by the fact that that small kid is teaching me something. So I am getting reverse mentoring from the kid. I am learning something. At the same time, professional is feeling empowered that my kid is getting engaged with the director of the company, with the associate director of the company, with the HR head of the company, with the HR manager of the company. And at the same time, the kid also feel empowered by the fact that, oh, I could able to teach also the the senior leadership of the company. So it's all about your creative thing, how you wanted to put it across.
Absolutely. Very nice. Excellent. I'm noting down. So
Thank
we
you
can
very
do it.
much.
Yes. Thank
Thank
you
you.
for that question also, Marzia, because when you ask question, in discussion, it comes out.
Thank you very
Now
much
this-
for
Ma'am,
explaining
last,
very nicely.
Yeah. I think last question I will take now.
ma'am, last
Okay.
question.
Avichal, over to you. Yes.
Yeah, ma'am, first of all, thank you so much for conducting the wonderful session for us. So the question is, actually, when I was working in the manufacturing industry, so I hope that it's too difficult to engage with the workman or labor. So what you suggest, that what will be the strategy to engage the workman or labor in the manufacturing industry? So this is my question.
Okay. I mean, do you want to take it up?
Tough one. However, I work with many manufacturing companies. I'm still working with many manufacturing companies, as especially for the training interventions. Okay. So first of all, there is a mindset here that they don't need any training, because the challenge here is their monotonous job. For example, if the person is working with the company for 20 years and doing the same job, has no competence to become even a supervisor, and a BE passed out last year becomes his manager, he's completely into the frustration that kya madam, ab ye time aa gaya, ye kal ke bacche hame padhayenge. This is how they talk. Okay. So first of all, we have to address that they need a lot of engagement. So I happen to work with a very, very nice company, and let me tell you, I will not be able to take the brand of that company right now, but they are very much dedicated for blue collar employees. Again, as Devjan mentioned, there are many programs you can do it by the employees for the employees. Okay. In fact, I was planning to write a case study on this company. So first, training interventions. Let it be in Hindi or a regional language, makes a huge difference. I myself conducted close to 80 programs for one company on emotional intelligence. And I gave it in Hindi, and it was like, my work started with Bhavnatmak Shakti. I mean, that is where it started with. And, 4 days I was working on my Hindi, pure Hindi. How am I going to talk? But it was an experience because they need it more. In fact, few sessions than senior leadership, these people require. They feel important कि हमारी company ने हमारे लिए ये किया है, right? That is one thing. Second, can you have them some cricket tournaments, some sports tournament for them? You don't have to do anything. They will do it. Okay. Third very important thing is this, a family day. Fine. Fourth, can you do something for the children? Especially, for example, during summer vacations and all, can they come? It can be simple craft. It can be simple, I conducted the session on sanskar, so that is where the value development came into the picture. Okay. Can you reward their children for their annual, maybe they have got all rank holders or something like that. Can you come up with some pricing and reward ceremony for their kids? Because please understand, Avichal, the kind of segment you are working with, you have to understand their emotional, need. What is their emotional need? They are missing out a lot in their life due to education. And they feel our next generation should get into that. isn't it? So can you get into that? And the more you will do it for their family, they will be very happy. Another thing, can you involve them in CSR activities? It can be tree plantation. It can be giving, like for example, I went in villages and talked about, sexual harassment. So sexual harassment at workplace was not topic for them, but it was about women empowerment. It can be, I'm telling you right from, क्या आप ड्रिंक्स करते हो, क्या आप अपने बहू बेटियों को मारते हो, क्या ये ठीक है? उनके प्रॉब्लम्स अलग है, और when we have to talk to them, you have to go on that level. Okay, so that is another thing. Can we have some kind of like a NGO where they can, so they need to be very much involved in these activities, and they feel very bad. I still recall one incident, when I was conducting the training, and they said, they stopped. They called HR and they said, I said, what happened? I was doing a very well job. What happened? They said, no, call HR. Then HR came and they said, what are these notepads? Someone has already used it and you have given it to us. We can't even write, it, right? Why? Then why you are keeping the pakoras and the other training hall? There is, your white collar people's training is going on, and you're serving them sandwiches and tea in cup and saucer, and we are giving it in steel glassy. आप समझ रहे हो कि कहाँ पे कंपैरिजन हो रही है? तो क्या टी और सॉसर्स, कप्स एंड सॉसर्स देना मुश्किल है लेबर्स को? नहीं, ये इक्वालिटी है. This is empowerment. We don't have to have big things on diversity and inclusion and engagement. These are small things, makes a huge difference. I hope, Avichal, I addressed that question for you.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you so much.
Okay, so I think we had a really engaging session. I just can't thank you enough to Devjan. My notebook is full of notes with 3 E's, 3 F's. I have got, critical modeling. I have taken about early warning indicators. I think these are very, very important lessons. We have almost more than 10 strategies of employee engagement. If you just list it and give a rating, you will get to know what is the area you need to work on. Yes, and I got another research topic for me is a design compass, then design thinking. I think that is marvelous. That's beautiful. It's 8:30 and we are still not tired, isn't it? Everyone, let me know your reaction buttons. Yeah?
True.
Great, Naina. Thank you so much. And next session, we are going to have it on 1st July, which will be about challenges of LGBT community at the workplace. So being HR, we need to be very, very inclusive. And we are so glad that we are seeing the journey of inclusion now. And we are going to have another HR who has worked in the area of LGBTQ and will be coming. So I will look forward for all of you to joining me in the next session also. And on that note, I will say thank you so much, Devjan. Thank you so much. A virtual hug to everyone. I'm feeling very charged up. Thank you. Thanks a lot.
Thanks a lot. Thank you, ma'am. As I started my point by saying that it's a sheer privilege to share the space with you, and I echo and adore that fact that I'm still a student of yours and I still learn. May
I'm
not be always
student of yours
bookish
now.
thing, maybe a lot from your philosophies, from your thoughts, from your guidance, from your aesthetics, from everything. I mean, everything is very, very inspirational for me, and I continue to learn. And as they say, learning never stops. And I wish to be a student throughout. And I'm sure all of us over here, everybody, all the professionals who are sitting over here, all 40, 45, 50, 60 people, I'm sure they echo the same sentiments.
Thank you.
We definitely,
It means a lot to me whenever I get to hear such a nice word. I feel blessed, and I also feel the responsibility which as a person we need to carry. So thank you so much, everyone. I hope you all are in touch with our career advisors. If you are not in touch with our career advisors regarding our courses, I'm just giving you the number 8800005599 to know more about our courses. At ProTouch, we truly believe in one philosophy: your success is our progress. We are not placement-driven organization. We are career-driven organization. So keep that in mind and then think about Protege. Okay? Thank you and good night to everyone.
Thank you.
Thank you
Good
very
night.
much. Good
Take care.
night. Good night. Thank you very much. And take care. Thank you.
Bye-bye. Thank you so
Bye-bye.
much. If someone wants to still talk to me, can stay, Devjit. We will continue with our course discussion,
Sure.
you know, so that is how we will go
Sure,
ahead.
sure, sure. Thank you guys. Thanks a lot. Take care. Bye-bye.
Yeah.
Stay safe.
Bye-bye. Bye. So Snehal, do you have anything to ask, Snehal? Because, you know, it was 8:36 and he was, he had a time till 8 o'clock only. So that's why I could not take much questions. Snehal, may I help you? If you have any questions, feel free to talk to me. If not,